The first thing I remember is the smell of gasoline, sharp, raw, already soaking into the hallway carpet before I could even drag myself fully upright. The second was my son's voice. Not the little boy who used to fall asleep on my chest. No. A grown man now. Cold. Standing on the other side of my bedroom door like a stranger who'd been waiting years to do this. "Goodbye, Mom." No hesitation. No tremor. Like he'd rehearsed it. Then, the scratch of the match. I didn't scream. I don't even know why. I think sometimes your soul goes quiet when it realizes it's too late to bargain with anything. I just stared at the bottom of the door as smoke started streaking out from beneath it in thin grey ribbons, like fingers reaching for my feet. I heard his exhale. Slow. Satisfied. Then the lock. Click. And his footsteps fading away. I didn't even run at first. I just sat there on the edge of that bed, every moment of his life flashing across me in cuts, not memories. The way kids do when they're still innocent. The way his head was too big for his little shoulders when he was born. How he used to press his hand on my cheek to fall asleep. The sound he'd make when he knew he was guilty but didn't want to say sorry out loud. Now he was trying to burn me alive. I pressed my hand against the doorknob, hot already. Too hot to hold. The smell doubled, then tripled, thick chemical smoke pounding my throat like it had knuckles. The fire hadn't burst yet, but it was gathering. Fast. I could hear it feeding. Breathing. Almost laughing. And that's when I realized. He really meant it. He left me here to die. And I hadn't even said his name yet. I stumbled backward, coughing, eyes burning, squinting through the shadows of my own room like I'd never even been here before. Every object looked like a stranger. The dresser. The brass lamp. The folded church hat sitting on the vanity. I felt like I'd already died and was watching the life I never finished. A crack of wood snapped outside the door, the fire changing shape. And somewhere in all that panic, shame found me first. What did I do to my own baby to make him hate me this much? Was I really that kind of mother? I don't know when I started crying. But I do know the instant I broke. When I heard his car start. He wasn't staying. He struck the match. He locked the door. And then he drove away. He truly believed I would burn. That was the moment my body moved on its own. Not toward the door. Not toward the window. Toward the thing I swore I would never touch again. Hidden under the hem of my Sunday dress. Deep enough that even my own sister assumed I threw it away. I pressed my shaking hand against it, and right then, before I could even pull it free, the fire finally broke through the hallway. A boom. A real sound. Like something exploding. I screamed this time. I am 55 years old. My name is Carolyn Walker from Jackson, Mississippi, and that was the night my only son tried to kill me. If you're listening, please don't go anywhere, like, subscribe, and share this story. Because I need to tell you something before the world tries to clean this up. Before they try to say it was an accident. Before they try to convince me I imagined it. That wasn't the first time he tried to hurt me. It was just the first time he stopped pretending he loved me. And I swear to you, I saw it shift in him years before that match ever touched flame. But I didn't listen. I didn't act. I let it grow. And tonight was just harvest. I sank to the floor as the heat thickened, gripping that thing under my dress like a lifeline, praying I wasn't too late. My vision was pulsing. The wallpaper was already melting into waves. Smoke turned the air into solid walls. And just as I thought the flames were about to reach the bedroom door, I heard something else. A second car. Tires on my gravel. Voices. Multiple voices. My son wasn't alone anymore. He was coming back. And he brought people with him. People laughing. Before they even opened the door, I knew. It wasn't rescue. It was rehearsal. They were coming to find a body. And he was ready to cry. I didn't die that night, but something in me did. Maybe that's how I know the exact moment things truly started to change between me and my son. Not the fire. Not the match. Not even the way he came back faking grief like he deserved an Oscar. No. It was the morning after. When the smoke cleared. When the firemen left. When the neighbors all finished pretending they didn't see a damn thing. When it was just me, sitting on the edge of my half-burned bed, staring at the blackened wood around my door, and realizing I didn't even want to call the police. That is the kind of broken nobody warns you about. The kind you can't even explain without people asking, but why didn't you scream for help? Because they don't understand the kind of fear that isn't loud. The kind of fear that makes you quiet, very, very quiet. The kind that makes you hold every word hostage until you can calculate who might punish you for telling the truth. I woke up with dark smoke stains still on my fingers. On my face. In my lungs. I walked past walls scorched and bubbled from the heat, like the house was blistering from infection. I was dizzy. My nightgown smelled like death. But I still walked straight into my kitchen and made coffee. Not because I wasn't scared. Because I needed to look normal. I needed to think. My hand was trembling so hard the mug nearly slipped. I caught it before it shattered. Stood there. Breathing. Trying to swallow that metallic ash taste in my mouth. Then I heard him come downstairs. Not a rush. Not frantic. Just footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Like he was trying to judge what version of me he'd be dealing with today. I didn't turn to look. I couldn't yet. He stood there in the archway, leaning against it like it was any regular morning. Morning, he said. Like I didn't almost burn into bone because of him. I stayed staring at the coffee machine. Morning, I answered back. I don't know why I said it like that. Calm. Even. Like I had rehearsed it in my sleep. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't apologize. He didn't mention the fire. Instead, he opened the fridge. Looked inside. Took out orange juice. Poured it. No words. No shame. And I'll never forget this. He didn't look scared. He looked irritated. Like I was the inconvenience. Like I was the one messing up his plans by still breathing. He sat down. Started drinking. And only then, he spoke. You should be more careful leaving candles burning at night. I didn't breathe for 5 whole seconds. He was rewriting it. He had already decided the story. He wasn't going to deny it. He was going to bury it. Inside me. Make me repeat it. Destroy reality one sentence at a time. I finally turned to face him. My son. My only child. The boy I raised alone. The man who just tried to turn me to ash. And he met my eyes with a look so dry, so empty, so fed up, like he had been waiting forever for this moment. Like burning me alive was the most reasonable solution to a problem he'd been trying to solve. And that's when it hit me like a slap. This wasn't the first time he imagined me dead. This was just the first time he attempted it. He got up before I could say a word. Took his keys from the bowl. Didn't look back. Didn't ask a single thing. And right before he walked out the door, he said this. Make sure the insurance papers are easy to find. The door shut. Silence. I didn't even realize I was crying until a tear hit my thumb. I sat down at the kitchen table and stared at his empty chair for a long time. It wasn't shock. It was clarity. He stopped loving me a long time ago. And I just kept feeding it. And now I was in danger. Not heartbroken. Not disrespected. Not disappointed. In danger. So when the phone rang, I answered, hoping it was anyone but him. It wasn't. It was worse. It was my sister. We're on our way. Do not move. Do not talk to anyone. Pretend you're fine until we get there. She didn't mean her. She meant the family. And I knew instantly. They already decided how this story would be told. And I was not going to like it. By the time their cars started rolling up my driveway, one after another like a slow, organized invasion, I had already wiped the soot from my face, changed my clothes, and lit a cinnamon candle like I was preparing for Bible study instead of homicide cleanup. That's the thing about black families. Presentation first, pain second. Or sometimes never. I watched my sister Angela's shadow cross the stained glass of my front door before the bell even rang. She didn't wait for me to answer. She let herself in with the old spare key I forgot she even had. Carolyn, she said like a warning, not a greeting. I didn't hug her. I didn't smile. I didn't speak. I just stood there with the mop still in my hand, pretending to be in the middle of cleaning, even though the smell of burned drywall still crawled up every inch of the house. Then I saw the rest of them coming in behind her. My Uncle James. My cousin Patrice. Her husband. Even Aunt Vivian in her church hat, though it was not Sunday. They weren't here for comfort. They were here for control. We saw the damage outside, Angela said quietly, eyes never leaving mine. You gonna tell us what really happened, or you gonna keep pretending? Before I could even respond, Aunt Vivian cut in. Did he do it? Just those 3 words. Not, are you okay? Not, baby, we got you. Just, confirmation. Because they already knew the answer. The only thing left was deciding what to do with it. I opened my mouth to speak. But the sound of tires and laughter outside froze me mid-breath. My son. He was back. He walked in like this was a reunion. Morning, fam, he said. Grinning. Kissing cheeks. Hugging arms. Slipping right into the roles they expected. The charming, helpful, hard-working only child who takes care of his mama. Not the arsonist. Not the predator. The illusion was so perfect that even I felt like maybe I was hallucinating last night. He walked right up to me and kissed me on the forehead like a sweet son. Morning, Ma. My jaw locked so hard I thought I'd crack a tooth. Then, with the fakest concern I have ever seen, he looks around and goes, Mom, what happened to the hallway? Angela shot me a look. That's when I understood. They already discussed the script on the way here. They were all waiting for my line. And I, the nearly murdered woman, had no voice in the room unless I picked the line that protected him. This wasn't a rescue. This was evidence management. They were here to sanitize me before I contaminated the story. I could feel every pair of eyes on my mouth before I even formed the first syllable. Say candle. Say accident. Say electrical. Say anything but the truth. Speak, Aunt Vivian said under her breath, like she was warning a child in church. And before I could stop myself, I said it. Soft. Automatic. Must have been an electrical short. The room exhaled in agreement. Like justice had never been an option to begin with. My son smiled. That boy smiled. And in that exact moment, I knew. He owns them. They will never protect me from him. I am alone. Patrice walked right over and squeezed my hand. Her voice sweet. Too sweet. You know what stress does to wiring. Your mind wasn't sharp. You probably didn't notice. They weren't comforting me. They were rehearsing me. Angela whispered in my ear as she passed by, pretending to wipe the counter. Don't tell nobody else what you think happened. You hear me? Not what happened. What you think happened. Rewrite it. Swallow it. Die with it. My whole body went cold. And I realized something far more terrifying than fire. They are willing to let me die, just not loudly. As long as their world doesn't shake. As long as the Walker name stays clean. My son leaned slightly toward me, invisible to the others, and whispered with the softest, sweetest venom. That's my good girl. I didn't cry. I didn't tremble. I just stood there and died politely. And in that moment, I finally accepted something I had avoided for far too many years. This isn't about love anymore. This is about survival. But if I wanted to survive, I would have to stop playing the role they wrote for me, and start writing one of my own. Even if it meant they'd call me crazy. Even if it meant they'd turn on me harder. Even if it meant next time, he wouldn't lock the door. He'd make sure I couldn't reach what I had hidden last night. By the time it clicked in my mind, they were already planning. Smiling. Laughing. Fixing plates like a fake Sunday brunch. And I realized. He didn't just want me dead. He wanted witnesses to swear it was fate. But something in my chest finally cracked open. And for the first time, I stopped thinking like his mother. And started thinking like prey who is done being prey. I looked at him across that room. And I smiled back. He didn't expect that. The rest of that day moved like I was trapped inside someone else's life, My own house full of people, but every word they spoke was rehearsed before they ever stepped through my door. They moved with purpose, not compassion. Orders were whispered in glances, implications tucked behind their smiles. Not one of them asked me if I was scared, because they were more afraid of embarrassment than they were of my death. And I sat there, silent, watching Angela quietly assess the damage, not like a sister, but like a damage control specialist. Calculating what needed to be repainted, rewritten, buried before dawn. The walls weren't the only thing burning. They were here to smother the fire inside me before it turned on them. My son sat in my father's old recliner like he owned the place, relaxed to the point of arrogance. Laughing with Uncle James. Talking about football like he didn't almost turn the living room into my funeral pyre 12 hours ago. And James, that man was smiling so hard at him you'd think he just got back from med school graduation instead of attempted matricide. Every few minutes someone came over fake soft to me. You should rest, Carolyn. You look shaken. Get some sleep, sis. We got it handled. You don't have to talk. Just breathe. We're family. We'll protect you. Protect me. They didn't see themselves. They were protecting him. From me. Angela eventually pulled me aside to the hallway, the same hallway still blackened with fire, and stood toe-to-toe with me like she was preparing to deliver a threat she'd dressed up as love. Listen to me carefully, she whispered. You can feel everything in you want to talk. Don't. Not to police. Not to neighbors. Not to nobody. You let me handle this quietly, like family does. Quietly. Like family does. By quietly, she meant, bury it. She grabbed both my arms so I could not walk away from what came next. And until I say otherwise, we can stick with what makes sense. He lit a candle. It caught the drapes. That's it. Do you understand me? That's when it clicked, sharp and cold. They weren't saving him from prison. They were saving themselves from ever having to admit, they raised a monster. I looked at Angela, the woman who helped deliver my boy because he arrived quicker than the nurse could reposition the bed, and I could see it clear as daylight. She wasn't asking for truth. She was demanding loyalty. The doorbell rang again before she could get my obedience confirmed. Patrice rushed toward it, still smiling, as if this was just a casual Saturday gathering. But something about her face when she looked through the glass. It shifted. She froze halfway through opening the door. Then opened anyway, reluctantly. It was Pastor Ray. And everything in that room changed temperature. Because Pastor Ray was not in their plan. He stepped inside with that unnerving calm he always had, the kind that felt like he could see everything and you couldn't hide a thing. Got a call things weren't right over here, he said. Voice gentle. Not asking for permission, already reading the room. I came straight over. Angela stiffened like her bones were trying not to flinch. Everyone in that room looked the same way. Guilty. Pastor Ray looked left. Looked right. Saw the burned hallway. Saw the two perfect smiles. Saw me. I saw the exact second his eyes understood. He didn't blink. Everyone looked scared. Except my son. That boy had the audacity to grin and walk right up. Pastor. Man. Perfect timing. Mom had a little accident last night with a candle. You know how she do, I been telling her. Pastor didn't even let him finish. He turned back to me. Carolyn. Just my name. Not a question. Not a greeting. An opening. Like a door. My son's expression changed just a millimeter, but enough for me to feel it. He panicked. It flickered behind his eyes like lightning behind a dark cloud. For the first time since last night, he looked unsure. Angela rushed in like a linebacker. Pastor, she's still shaken. Let her rest. I was just about to take her upstairs. Pastor looked right past her. Still at me. Still waiting. And let me tell you something, nobody in this family ever scared me more than Pastor Ray did in that moment. Not because he was a threat. But because he gave me the one terrible thing nobody else in that house would. Permission to speak. And I was scared. Not of telling the truth. But of what it would unleash. Because once words leave your mouth, you can't control who bleeds. I opened my mouth. My son took a step forward, small, but threatening. And my hand, without my permission, brushed the side of my dress. Searching for it. The thing I had hidden. He saw that movement. Just the ghost of it. And in that split second, his eyes widened. Threatened. Not yet, I mouthed. So quietly nobody else saw. Just him. He froze. Held still. I looked at Pastor Ray. And I did something nobody in that room saw coming. I smiled. The most peaceful smile I've ever given in my adult life. Pastor, would you like to sit down? That was the moment. I chose patience over panic. Not because I was calm. Because I was no longer prey. Angela let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. My son did not. His hand, still at his side, curled into a fist so tight the knuckles went white. He knew. Something had changed in me. This wasn't over. It was beginning. And for the first time. He was not sure if he still had control. Pastor Ray hadn't even been in my house 5 full minutes before the air inside it turned heavy, not loud, not frantic, heavy. Like everything that had been rehearsed up until now was suddenly useless. Like the room now required truth, and everyone could feel it but was too afraid to name it. He sat down slowly on my living room sofa, but he didn't speak. Didn't ask questions. Didn't perform. Just Saturday. Watching. Listening. Letting silence strip people of their disguises one breath at a time. And silence, let me tell you, is a more dangerous interrogator than any detective with a badge. My son stayed standing. That was his mistake number 1. Everyone else Saturday. He didn't. He thought position was power. Thought height meant dominance. But anyone raised to understand wolves knows. The one who stays standing while everyone else sits is the one who feels most threatened. Angela cleared her throat, fake light. Pastor, we appreciate you coming, but really, everything's under con. Let Carolyn tell it, he said without ever taking his eyes off me. 3 things happened in that moment. Angela's jaw clenched. My son's nostrils flared, just slightly. And Aunt Vivian started silently praying under her breath, not in Jesus' name. In fear. In family preservation. I didn't speak. Not yet. Because nobody in that room realized that this wasn't my breaking point. This was theirs. They just hadn't reached it yet. Pastor Ray leaned forward, elbows on knees, patient, not pushing. Carolyn. Tell me what you remember. A simple question. Not, what happened? But, what you remember. The difference mattered. He was saying, I know there are 2 truths in this house. The one you lived through, and the one they will rewrite. I opened my mouth. I saw my son straighten his spine. And in the periphery of my vision, Angela's hand reached behind the couch, where she thought I wouldn't see her unplug the Wi-Fi router. So even if cameras were rolling, they couldn't upload. Even if I went live, nobody would see it. Even if I tried to scream the truth onto the internet, it would die inside these walls. They planned this. Maybe not today, but before today. My heart thudded, not in fear. In confirmation. This wasn't panic. This was chess. You okay, baby? Pastor said, warm, yes, but sharp. Like he was measuring pulse, not mood. I finally looked up. Met his eyes. I remember smoke, I began. My son took a half step forward. I didn't look at him, even though the temperature behind my ear told me he wanted me to. I remember heat, I continued. Angela sat still. Too still. Patrice's fork, she had been eating macaroni even through all this, paused midair. And I remember. I paused. Not because I was scared. But because every molecule in that room was holding its breath. I remember that I ain't dead yet. I said it steady. Not trembling. Not weeping. Not confessing. Announcing. As in, this story is not over. As in, somebody miscalculated. As in, do not bury me while I'm still breathing. My son's fingers curled, slow, quiet, threatening. But Pastor Ray smiled. Not a church smile. Not comfort. Recognition. Good, he said. Then you're not done talking. It was that moment, that exact second, that something inside my son snapped. He didn't explode loud. He didn't lash out physical. No. He dropped the mask. Entirely. The actor stepped off stage. And the predator stepped forward. You don't need to be here, Pastor, he said flatly, voice as casual as a man giving restaurant directions. My mama's just tired. Been stressed. Forgetful. Sometimes she stretches things that ain't that serious. No harm. We just handling family business. You know how that goes. He tried to dismiss him. The way a guard tries to dismiss a witness before the gunshot. But Pastor Ray didn't move. Didn't blink. Instead, he turned to me. Not them. Just me. Carolyn, he said, and this time, a little firmer, did your son do this to you? Angela sat up. James put his fork down like it weighed 50 pounds. Aunt Vivian let out a sound like she was choking. And my son smiled. Like a god standing unafraid before a peasant's prayer. Ma, he said softly, mockingly, tell him the truth. That was when God allowed my eyes to sharpen in a way they hadn't in years. He didn't say, tell him what happened. He said, tell him the truth. Because what he really meant was, tell him the lie we already rehearsed. Tell him the lie I own. Tell him the version where I stay clean. Tell him my innocence. Tell him you are my property. The realization struck me like thunder inside my chest. He has never once asked me for the truth. Only for obedience. He doesn't need me alive. He just needs me compliant. The room waited. Everyone. Except him. He already knew what he expected me to pick. Life or disobedience. Their lineage or my voice. Survival or war. And to this day, I don't know where the sound came from breath, from grief, from fire still clawing my lungs, but I heard myself say it before I could second guess it. If I tell you the truth. I turned. Looked at my son. Held eye contact with him longer than I had in 3 entire years. I might not make it to tonight. Not a scream. Not an accusation. Just deliverance. And for the first time since he struck that match, his smile fell. Not gone. But flickered. Like a flame hit by wind. And that was all the confirmation Pastor Ray needed. He rose from the sofa like a judge delivering a verdict. Angela whipped around, ready to intercept him. Now hold on, Pastor. No, he said, voice grave, cutting through the room like violent scripture. You hold on. Then to me. You are not safe here, Carolyn. And I am not leaving you. That was the first moment my son truly lost footing. Because he had planned for lies. He had prepared for silence. He had already bought loyalty. But he had not prepared for resistance. Not from a man. Not from God's house. Not from me. And the look in his eyes told me what was next. He was going to accelerate. He was going to move tonight. He was going to do it again. And this time, he wouldn't miss. And as that realization hit me, my hand moved back toward what I had hidden beneath my dress. Because if this family was going to watch me burn twice, I was not going to burn quietly. I didn't breathe when I stepped back from that phone. My hand trembled so hard I nearly dropped it. Dre's wife. I saw it. I saw it clear as daylight. Malik didn't see me. He had his back turned, yanking something from a storage tote like everything in this garage was normal. Like the world I thought I lived in hadn't just died. My throat tightened. I didn't freak out. I didn't gasp. I didn't call his name. I just silently set that phone back exactly where I found it, on that ragged folded top, and stepped back like I was brushing dust off my dress. 5 seconds later, Malik turned around, arms full of toolboxes. Babe, you good? I forced a lazy smile. Just watching. You throwing half our house in this garage. He chuckled and walked past me, didn't notice anything in my face, didn't feel that the air had changed temperature. I turned, walked slow behind him, casual, while my bloodstream roared like fire hoses. I didn't speak. I needed silence. I needed to think. Inside the house, He dropped tools on the table like this was Sunday cleanup. The TV was still on in the living room. ESPN replays flickering. Our daughter's art project drying on the couch. A normal family home. A normal quiet evening. And apparently an entire second wife texting him while I'm in this house believing I'm the only one. I couldn't swallow. I walked straight to the kitchen. And I saw it now, in terrifying clarity, how familiar he was, too familiar, moving around in this home like it wasn't a home, but a base. Control center. A launch point. Men don't hide second phones when they sloppy cheating. They hide second phones when women can kill their career. Something bigger than infidelity hit me in that moment. He's not just betraying me. He's afraid of being exposed. I opened the fridge. Not for food, I just needed something to do while thinking. Malik walked in, wipes sweat. You know what, he said casually, I'm done dealing with that garage mess tonight. Come here. His tone had changed. Heavy. Weighted. Something rehearsed even. I stayed still, one hand still in the fridge door, grabbing cold air to calm nerves. He leaned against the counter. Looked me dead in my eyes. Ava. I need to tell you something. Before you hear it from someone else. My heart stopped. I let go of the fridge door. It slowly closed behind me with a soft suction click. I said nothing. He exhaled. There's gonna be people saying things about me soon. Lies. Jealous stuff. From somebody who got bitter when I tried to cut ties clean. My blood iced. Tried. To cut ties. Clean. I didn't even blink. He studied my face. Then he stepped closer, too calm. And I don't want you, or our daughter, dragged into someone else's chaos when it blows up. So I need you to trust me. Don't let nobody turn you against me with some story they cooked up. Story they cooked up. The audacity. He was pre-flipping the script. Pre-protecting himself from my future rage. Which meant he already knew I would find out. Soon. He laid his hand on the stove beside me, casual, but blocking me in. You quiet, he said low. You listening to me? Yes. I whispered. I wanted his guard all the way down. He searched my eyes. Something shifted in him, approval. Comfort. Yes. She's still soft. Still easy to manage. Then he leaned in, whispered near my ear. Good girl. Good girl. He said it like I was obedient property. I nearly lost my mind. But I didn't. I did not break character. I simply turned to him, soft smile, lightly touched his arm and said, I trust you, baby. He kissed my forehead and walked away, unbothered, pulling off his hoodie. Order food? I'm starving. I nodded. He vanished down the hallway. The second he was gone, I sprinted. Not like a woman. Like a soldier. I checked every blind spot in that house where a second phone could be hidden. I didn't look for evidence like a hurt wife. I looked like a prosecutor gathering ammunition before the defendant even knew trial had been scheduled. I checked closets. Under sinks. Behind laptops. Inside ceiling vent lids. The laundry room baskets. Old Easter baskets stored above the dryer. Nothing. That ONE phone in the garage. That was where he felt safe hiding it. His confident. His clean. Too clean. His strategizing. This ain't sloppy side chick behavior. This felt like a full second life. A double marriage. A registered one. Because that name. Dre's wife. Why is she calling you somebody else's wife name? Unless. It hit me. Unless Malik ain't Malik. The front door suddenly opened. I froze mid-step. But it was only my daughter, singing to herself, dragging her little backpack in. Malik met her first, scooped her up laughing. I stood in the hallway, watching father and child, a picture-perfect moment. I suddenly felt cold all over. Because I no longer trusted the way he looked at her either. This was not about cheating anymore. This felt like a man hiding legal identity, legacy, bloodline, perhaps criminal past, and God knows what else involving that child. I needed proof. Before I burned the entire earth down, I needed hard proof. Which meant one thing. I had to get back into that garage. At night. When he was asleep. And I had to unlock that phone. That's when I saw it. Something on his face when he walked past me carrying our daughter. The way his eyes briefly checked the window reflection to make sure no one followed him. This is not a cheater. This is a man living a double life. And I was done being polite about it. Tonight, that phone was mine. I whispered to myself. Midnight. And from that moment, everything inside me turned predator. Malik didn't even flinch when I said I saw the phone. That alone told me something had shifted. He wasn't scared of me no more, he was calculating me. Studying me. Like somebody assessing just how much time they got left before the table turns. "Ma, you really gon' stoop to snooping," he said, all calm, but there wasn't an ounce of innocence in that tone. I didn't answer. I stood there in his doorway, watching his eyes. His breathing was too steady for a man just caught dirty. Most guilty men sputter. They stutter. They over-explain. Malik looked like somebody who already passed the line where truth matters. "You wanna say something, say it," he challenged. "But don't come at me on no detective *T. You ain't the law." That right there, that tone, was the moment I felt the shift. Not just disrespect. Ownership. He spoke like somebody who believed I lived under his roof. I took one step in his room. He purposely didn't move back. He wanted me to feel how fearless he was. And Lord, it worked. "Who is Dre's wife?" I said. Silence. Nothing. Not even a blink. He kept leaning against the dresser like I was asking if he wanted sweet tea. "You got 3 seconds, I told him. Before I take that phone and call her myself." Slow exhale. He smiled. Smiled. "You don't want to do that," he said quietly. "Trust me." That right there. That broke my nerves in half. When a child stops fearing consequences, the war has already begun. He stepped forward slow. Not aggressive. Calculated. Hands still visible. "Dre's wife ain't who you think she is," he said low. "She got ties, Ma. Real ones." Ties to what? His silence was the answer. I suddenly realized this wasn't just infidelity. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't even just betrayal. This was organized. "You moving something?" I asked. I didn't even mean to say it. It just fell out my mouth. He smirked a little. "Say it louder. Maybe the walls ain't hear you." He was mocking me now. Disrespect meant nothing to him anymore. But I saw something flicker, just for half a second. When I turned like I was really about to walk out and grab that phone, his chest rose. Not fear. Not panic. Calculation. He was planning his next move faster than I could form the last one. That's when I switched. I softened. I tilted my head. Breathed like my soul was tired. I let my shoulders lower. A lion only attacks a lion. You don't charge a snake straight on. "Malik," I said quietly, "you still my son. Just tell me the truth. Please." For just 1 second, he looked 14 again. All that hardness dropped from his face like a mask losing glue. Then a shadow fell over it again. He ain't slip. He remembered the script. "You don't wanna know," he said. "I promise you." Then he turned. Walked away from me. Walked away from his mother mid-sentence. Like I was some clerk at a store he was done talking to. That's when I noticed something. He didn't go to his bed. He didn't reach for clothes. He didn't go toward the front door. He went down. Into the basement. Whatever this was. It wasn't in his phone anymore. It was under my house. And suddenly, I wasn't scared of what I saw. I was scared of what was hiding. So I waited. I didn't follow right away. I moved silent. Stayed 10 seconds, then moved. My hands shook, but I remembered you can't walk like prey when the predator might already be listening. I stepped down each basement stair like I was descending into hell itself. 1 step. Then 2. 3. And then I saw it. The moment I did, my throat closed. Not because I was imagining it, but because it was real. Clear. Alive. He wasn't working alone. And the worst part wasn't what? It was WHO. I don't know if you ever walked down into your own basement and suddenly realized you the least powerful person in your own house. But that's exactly what happened to me. That second my foot hit the bottom step, I knew it wasn't just Malik down there. There was whispering. Not loud. Not panicked. Strategic. The kind of whisper you hear in men who make moves, not boys who get caught. My hand stayed on the railing. My breath locked inside me. And that's when I saw it, a glow. Not from a bulb. Not from overhead lighting. It was a digital glow. Screens. Multiple. Like a command center. And then I saw her. Not Dre's wife. I had imagined some grown woman in heels with dead eyes. Nah. This was worse. It was a teenage girl. 20s at best. Sitting in my basement like she owned it. Braids down her back, nails long and sharp, chewing gum like she was born fearless. Malik wasn't scared of me because he didn't answer to me anymore. He answered to her. She didn't even look at me at first. She looked at Malik. And the way she looked at him? A boss. Not a girlfriend. Not a fling. A superior. Handle it, she asked him calm, like I wasn't even real. He glanced at me, then back at her, and said, "Not yet. She ain't stupid." I don't even know which part hurt more. Her calling the shots, or him speaking about me like I wasn't standing 5 feet away. "Malik," I said quiet, because my body couldn't produce volume. "What is this?" Not a question, a plea. His jaw flexed, just once. He still wouldn't meet my eyes. And that girl? She smiled. That smile alone told me if I didn't move right, I was not making it back up those stairs. "You really thought he was just your baby, huh?" she said. Voice soft. Mocking but not loud. That quiet kind of evil that never breaks breathing rhythm. I didn't answer her. I looked at Malik. He finally looked back at me. And Lord, I ain't seen that look since his daddy. Not regret. Not guilt. Ownership. "Go back upstairs, Ma," he said. But it wasn't a warning. It was a dismissal. The kind of tone a drug lord uses when the janitor walks where he shouldn't. I didn't move. I forced my feet still. And that girl, that stranger in my home, finally rose from the chair. Slow. Smooth. No rush. Like she knew I wasn't leaving. She stepped into the light. And that's when I saw it, around her neck. Not jewelry. A chain with my son's baby photo in it. My knees buckled. How did she get that picture? She walked right past Malik, past him like she outranked him, and looked me dead in the eye. "You ain't in the mother position anymore," she said softly. "Accept it polite, or accept it ugly." That's when something black and ancient inside me woke up. Not fear. Blood memory. I stepped forward. Not fast. Not stupid. But firm. "I don't know who you are, but you must not know who I am." Before she could even respond, I saw something behind her. And everything in my chest stopped. A baby crib. A newborn crib. In my basement. With my grandson's name carved into the wood. But I never got to finish processing it. Because she leaned in inches from my face, so close I could smell peppermint on her breath, and whispered, "He ain't your blood no more." I don't think my soul ever froze the way it did when that girl whispered, "He ain't your blood no more." I swear I stopped breathing. Something in me went silent in a way I ain't never felt before, not grief, not rage, erasure. Like she erased me out loud. But I didn't step back. I leaned in. Because in that moment, it hit me, if I broke right then, if I trembled, she'd won. Forever. Not Malik. Ha. The snake in my house who thought she could rewrite bloodlines. "I birthed him," I said low. My voice was level. "He lived off my body before anybody touched his. I don't care what you think you did, you weren't here first." She blinked slow, studying me. Not scared, impressed. Malik stepped in between us like he was the peacekeeper now. "Stop, Ma. Please," he muttered, sounding like a man caught between duty and war. Not guilt. Burden. I looked at him, truly looked, and for the first time, I saw no conflict in his eyes about choosing her over me. He wasn't pulled. He wasn't confused. He was gone. "You got a child in this house?" I whispered. He didn't answer. That was my answer. And that's when judgment, real, ancestral, old woman, ghost of the South judgment, flushed into my veins clean as baptism water. Not court judgment. Not legal. Mother judgment. The heavy kind. The kind that sticks to a man till death. "Malik," I said louder now. "Look me in my face." He hesitated. Then he did. "You now officially know that what you've done to me is no longer mistake territory." "That's enough, Ma," he cut in. I didn't hear him. "You have witnessed me discover it. You have stood with her. And you have chosen to protect her presence over your own mother's knowing." His jaw clenched. A flick of shame flashed. Just a flick. Then gone. "I'm not asking nothing else," I said. "Just answer one thing." Silence. Only the baby crib behind her breathing warmer air than either of us. "When that child starts talking, who will you say I am?" Malik opened his mouth. Paused. And Lord help me, he truly didn't know the answer. That's when the girl moved. Sharp. Smooth. Cutting across the room like a threat, putting herself between me and the crib. She ain't gonna be nobody to him. That chapter closed. And I swear to God, she smiled. That did it. No tears left. No shaking. Judgment solidified. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was surgical. I slowly straightened my back. "I hear you," I said. "Both of you." Loud and clear. Malik watched me. Something uneasy flickered. Instinct. He knew that tone. That was the tone my mother used before she left my father silent for 10 years. "Ma," he said, suddenly not as sure, "what you about to do?" I stepped back just one step. Not retreating. Repositioning. "Nothing," I said calmly. "I'm just finally done praying protection over two people who clearly don't consider me alive." Those words hung heavy. Real heavy. And while I turned, ready to walk up those stairs, the baby made a sound. A soft, sweet, newborn sound. And that's when I stopped cold mid-step. Because that sound came from behind the crib. There was another voice. Tiny. Suppressed. Crying low. 2 babies. My heart went electric. 2. But, only 1 crib. That didn't make sense. Unless the second baby wasn't supposed to live in the light. I did not turn around. My hand reached the stair rail. And right when I took the first step up, the girl said behind me, casual as death, "If you plan on going to the cops, just know Malik wouldn't be the one arrested." I stopped. Slowly turned. She wasn't bluffing. And Malik wasn't confused. He was prepared. "Say it," I demanded. "Go on. Threaten me to my face." She tilted her head. "Not a threat. A truth. He'd just lose the chance to bury you properly. That's all." I don't remember walking back up those stairs. Only remember the shift in air when I crossed that line, from their world back into what used to be mine. The house didn't feel like home no more. It felt like a crime scene where the body, me, was still breathing by mistake. I reached the top step. Closed the basement door soft. Locked it. Not to keep them in. To keep myself steady. Something in me went cold. Fully. Clean. The kind of cold that don't melt back into tears or rattling or prayer. It was decision. I went straight to my room. Didn't run. Didn't hide. I sat on the edge of my bed and just stared at the picture on my nightstand. Him. 3 years old. Gap-tooth smile. Arms around my neck. Cheek pressed to mine. That version dead. There is a moment, only mothers know, when you stop fighting to bring your child back. And start preparing to survive them. This was that moment. I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow. Not sneaky. Not ashamed. Malik. Coming toward my room. He didn't knock. He just walked in like he owned the air I breathe. "Ma." That's all he said. That one word, but his voice was not a boy calling his mother. It was a man checking if the situation remained contained. I finally looked up at him. For the first time, I didn't see my son. The shape was him. The body was him. But what was inside him? Gone. "You came to make sure I won't speak?" I asked. He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it. He just stood there, silent, watching for how far I'd already gone. I exhaled long. "You don't have to worry." His shoulders eased. He believed me. That hurt worse than anything, that he expected compliance as motherly instinct. "I won't say a word," I continued. Still true. Just, not the way he thought. He nodded. Looked almost grateful. Turned to leave. "Malik." He paused. "If you hear from me again." He turned back slightly. "It'll only be because I outlived you." He froze. Didn't turn fully. Breath stopped. Body stilled like the devil himself just tasted math he didn't calculate. He didn't speak. Just left. Quiet. Door didn't slam. He just walked away. But something cracked in that hallway. Him? Me? This house? Couldn't tell. I stood. Every joint in my body felt like rust cracking open. I opened my closet. Pushed past winter coats. Reached for the old shoe box nobody ever knew was there. My mother's handwriting on the lid. Inside. Birth certificate. Land deed. Cash-in bills from years ago. A handwritten prayer folded in a napkin. And the letter. His father's handwriting. The man Malik worshipped more dead than he ever honored me alive. Malik never knew the truth. Nobody did. I unfolded it slow. Read it again. Last line always stopped my pulse. "If our son grows into me, don't save him. Outlive him." My hand didn't shake. I folded it back. Slipped everything in my purse. Walked to the dresser. Took out the small steel I prayed I'd never need again. Checked the weight. The click. The readiness. Then. I Saturday. Calm. I didn't run. Didn't pack clothes. Didn't sneak or panic. I Saturday. And waited for sunrise. Because dawn ain't the beginning. It's the reveal. Sunlight shows what people actually are. And when it hit that crib downstairs, I would know, do I walk away forever? Or do I bring us all to judgment before God does? If you're listening right now and you still hear, I need you to breathe with me for a second, because this is not the kind of story you just watch and move on from. If any mother out there knows what I'm talking about, please like, subscribe, and share this, and tell me in the comments if you still believe blood makes family. Because sunrise is coming. And I promise you, the world can hear what it reveals.